ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। रीडिंग फ्रॉम श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 8 चैप्टर 10 वर्स 56। दृष्ट्वा मृधे गरुडवाहं विभारिवाह आविद्यशूलं महिनोद अथ कालनेमिः तल्लीलया गरुडमूर्ध्नि पत्तद् गृहीत्वा तेनाहनन् नृपसवाहं हरिं त्र्यदीशः। O king, when the demon Kalanemi, who was carried by a lion, saw that supreme person of Godhead carried by Garuda was on the battlefield, the demon immediately took his trident, whirled it, and discharged it at Garuda's head. The Supreme Person of Godhead, Hari, the master of the three worlds, immediately caught the trident, and with the very same weapon, he killed the enemy Kalanemi along with his carrier, the lion. Srila Madhvacharya says, Kalanemi and all the other demons were killed by the Supreme Person of Godhead, Hari, and when Shukracharya, their spiritual master, brought them back to life, they were again killed by the Supreme Person of Godhead. Okay. माली सुमाल्यति बलौ युधिपेत तुर्य चक्रेण कृत्ता कृत्त शिरसाव अथ माल्यवांस्तम् आहत्य तिग्मगदयाहनद् अण्डजेन्द्रं तावच्चिरो छिनद् अरिणादयः. Thereafter, two very powerful demons named Mali and Sumali were killed by the Supreme Lord, who severed their heads with his disc. And then Malyavan, another demon, attacked the Lord. With his sharp club, the demon who was roaring like a lion attacked Garuda, the lord of the birds, who were born from eggs. But the Supreme Person of Godhead, the original person, used his disc to cut off the head of that enemy also. This ends the chapter 10. Chapter 11, King Indra annihilates the demons. Okay, this conversation is important, yeah. Shishka Uvacha Ato Sura Pratyupalabdha Parasya Pumsah Parayanukampaya Jagnurvrusham Shakrasamiranaadayas Tam Stan Raneyerabhisama Abhisamhata Pura. Sukadeva Goswami said, thereafter, by the supreme grace of the Supreme Person of Godhead, Sri Hari, all the demigods headed by Indra and Vayu were brought back to life. Being enlivened, the demigods began severely beating the very same demons who had defeated them before. So, so Lord brings them back to life. So Lord can do anything. We should understand that is nothing impossible. Yeah. Vairochanaya samrabdho Bhagavan Paka Shasanaha Udayachad Yada Vajram Rajaha Heti Chukrushuhu. When the most powerful Indra became angry and took his thunderbolt in hand to kill Maharaja Bali, the demons began lamenting, Alas, alas! Vajrapanistamahedam Tiraskritya Purasthitam Manasvinam Susampannam Vicharantam Mahamrude, sober and tolerant, and well equipped with paraphernalia for fighting. Bali Maharaj moved before Indra on the great battlefield. King Indra, who always carries the thunderbolt in his hand, rebuked Bali Maharaj as follows. Now, so this is important. Now, this is dealing. Now, there are two devotees on the battlefield. Both Indra and Bali Maharaj are on the battlefield. Indra externally is in the body of a demigod, uh, and Bali Maharaj apparently is in the body of a demon. And now, demons are not, they're not generally sober and tolerant. Now, here it's we're starting off saying that Bali Maharaj was sober and tolerant. Mm. So, this is the first qualification for devotees. Now, this is a quality of Sattva Guna. Right? One has to be sober and tolerant, whatever situations we have to deal with. We should be sober and tolerant and be dependent on the Supreme Lord. So Bali Maharaj, though internally he was in that mood, mm, but externally he was doing his duty because he was the king of the demons. His duty is to fight against demigods. So he's doing it. Natavan Mudha Maya Bhir Mayeshanno Jigishasi Ditva Balan Nibadhakshan Nato Harati Tadhanam. Indra said, "O rascal, as a cheater sometimes binds the eyes of a child and takes away his possessions, you are trying to defeat us by displaying some mystic power. Although you know that we are the masters of all such mystic powers." Now, uh, so this is important. So at least has no purport, but the thought that comes to my mind is that even if assuming that Bali Maharaj did something wrong, uh, the battlefield was arranged for a fight. So Indra could have just fought without having to have a conversation with Bali. And in the conversation, he is using, he's rebuking, he's saying, Mudha, fool, uh, and no need to say that, okay, why you are trying to defeat us by some displaying some mystic power. Enemy can do whatever he wants. And Indra is boasting, saying that we are the masters of all mystic powers. So generally, we should understand Indra tends to teach us so many things in devotional life. Every activity of Indra is filled with lessons for us. And of course, we need to understand that he's not an ordinary person. He's chosen by the Supreme Lord to be the head of, all the devatas, king of the Swarga and so on. He's not an ordinary person, but to teach us lessons, he normally just, at least in Bhagavatam, we can see he commits a lot of mistakes, apparent mistakes. So we should not become disrespectful about Indra, saying that, he's like, keeps doing these things, but be respectful, but understand that there are lessons for us. Mm. Mm. Unnecessary talking. This is unnecessary talking. No need to talk. Okay, he's used his power, you use your power. That's all. Why there has to be need to talk? Because both of them are doing their dharma. Mm. Yeah, so he's using not so cultured words. आरुरुक्षन्ति मायाभिरुत्सृप्सन्ति ये दिवं तान् दस्यून् विदुनोम्यज्ञान् पूर्वस्माच्च पदात् अधः. Now the justification is not that because Bali Maharaj was a demon, so he can be called rascal. No. Because birth has nothing to do with a person's devotion. So, and a devotee should also learn to recognize devotion in others, even if they be born in apparently lower caste families or even in the house of demons. So Indra is saying those fools and rascals who want to ascend to the upper planetary system by mystic power or mechanical means, or who endeavor to cross even the upper planets and achieve the spiritual world or liberation, I cause to be sent to the lowest region of the universe. So he is thinking that Bali wants to ascend to Swarga for enjoyment. Mm. So he's saying, you are trying to come reach heaven by mystic power, by yoga siddhi. I will push you down. There are undoubtedly different planetary systems for different purposes, for different persons. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 14.18, Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvastaha. Persons in the mode of goodness can go to the upper planets. Those in the modes of darkness and passion, however, are not allowed to enter the higher planets. The word Divam refers to the higher planetary system known as Swargaloka. Indra, king of the higher planetary system, has the power to push down any conditioned soul attempting to go from the lower to the higher planets without proper qualifications. So one person, such person was Trishanku. Uh, he got the favor of Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra was trying to push him in the unqualified. He was unqualified, so in that same position, he was trying to push him to heaven. And Indra pushes him down. Because both these personalities are very powerful, Trishanku got stuck in the middle. So he's called Trishanku. Like neither here nor there. Yeah, so Indra has the power because his jurisdiction is Swarga. So nobody can enter Swarga without being qualified. So he can push them down. And there'll be demons always who are trying to do that. But Bali Maharaj was not one among them. The modern attempt to go to the moon is also an attempt by inferior men to go to Swargaloka by artificial mechanical means. Like yesterday, we saw Prabhupada's calculation of the distance of the moon. 950 lakh miles, he says, and sun is nearer. So 950 lakh miles at the speed of 18,000 miles per hour. That's what he said, I think. Yeah, it takes us. It can't be completed in 4 years. It'll take like multiple hundreds of years to reach there. So and even if suppose say they're trying by artificial mechanical means, which is not allowed because they don't have qualification. So even if suppose they reach the atmosphere of moon, they can't enter because they don't have the qualification. Because you need punya to enter. Hmm. Prabhupada is saying this attempt cannot be successful. From this statement of Indra, it appears that anyone attempting to go to the higher planetary systems by mechanical means, which are here called Maya, is condemned to go to the hellish planets in the lower portion of the universe. Oh, somebody tries to illegally enter Swarga, they'll be pushed to Naraka. Mhm. Because that itself becomes a sinful activity, looks like, yeah. To go to the higher planetary system, one needs sufficient good qualities. A sinful person situated in the mode of ignorance and addicted to drinking, meat eating, and illicit sex will never enter the higher planets by mechanical means. Yeah, sinful people cannot enter higher planets, and looks like even attempting to do that seems to be sinful, and they are going to be condemned to the hellish planets. Hmm. Soham durmainastedya vajrena shataparvana shiro harishye mandatman ghatasva gnatibih saha. Today, with my thunderbolt, which has hundreds of sharp edges, I, the same powerful person, uh, shall sever your head from your body. Although you can produce so much jugglery through illusion, you are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Now try to exist on this battlefield with your relatives and friends. So Indra concluded that Bali Maharaj had a poor fund of knowledge, which was wrong and which will become evident now. Sri Baliruvacha. Sangrame vartamanaam kalachoditakkarmanam कीर्तिर्जयो जयो मृत्युः सर्वेषां स्युरनुक्रमात्. Bali Maharaj replied, all those present on this battlefield are certainly under the influence of eternal time, and according to their prescribed activities, they are destined to receive fame, victory, defeat, and death, one after another. Now, see the drastic difference between the mood of Indra and Bali Maharaj. Indra is just talking on the material platform. Bali Maharaj immediately uh, gets into Tattva. He's not responding. He's not reacting to Indra's, scornful words or bad words or whatever, his speech. He's not reacting to his speech. What we do when somebody says something against us, somebody, is abusing us or saying some bad things about us, we will immediately react to what they are saying. Lower level of Krishna consciousness, this is. Higher level of Krishna consciousness is what is being demonstrated by Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj immediately replies to the thought process behind Indra's statements, not to Indra's statements directly. It's very, very difficult actually. He's taking the essence of the conversation and answering, replying to the essence. We don't get to the essence at all. We get stuck in the surface. We get stuck in the interaction itself. The words that were used, the tone which were used, the facial expressions that were used, and we get stuck there. We don't go beyond that. And Bali Maharaj, so expertly, he is simply going beyond the externals of Indra. And he's going to the topic, underlying topic, and he's saying, okay, you're talking about me fighting in the battlefield, doing all this, but they're all under, we're all under the influence of eternal time. So you're also under the eternal influence of eternal time. I'm also under the influence of eternal time. And according to their prescribed activities, they're destined to receive fame, victory, defeat, and death one after another. So he's talking about the laws of karma, how everybody has prescribed duties, and those duties have to be done. And according to the duties that one does, one gets phala, etc. And that everybody is under the control of destiny. Purport: if one is victorious on the battlefield, he becomes famous. And if one is not victorious but is defeated, he may die. Both victory and defeat are possible, whether on such a battlefield as this or on the battlefield of struggle of existence. Success on the battlefield of life is that we achieved Krishna Prema, and failure is that we did not achieve. Both are possible. It depends on our desire and sincere efforts. And when we have the right desire and the sincere efforts, Krishna naturally bestows his mercy and one achieves perfection. But if by the misuse of our own free will, we decide to go do some nonsense, we might face defeat. Now, but for ordinary jivas, everything takes place according to the laws of nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. So ordinary people are not beyond the control of karma. So their life will go on as per the laws of karma, as per whatever phala they have accumulated. For devotees also, unless till we come to the stage of surrender to Krishna, ye yatha mam prapadyanti tam tathaiva bhajamyam. To the extent we surrender, to that extent Krishna will reciprocate and take care of us. If you're 100% surrendered, then Krishna 100% takes care of our life. And then there is no place for karma phala. Krishna decides to do what he wants to do. Like those demigods who were previously dead in the battlefield, he just brings them back to life. So he knows, he decides what needs to be done, and whatever he desires happens. Since everyone without exception is subject to the modes of material nature, whether one is victorious or defeated, he is not independent, but is under the control of the material nature. So somebody might think that, okay, they've got so much of wealth, position, name, fame, etc., and they might think that I'm independent, I can do whatever I want. No. How much ever powerful, influential, wealthy, etc., one person might be, he is still not independent. He is completely under the laws of karma. You cannot escape it. So it's see, this material world is very funny. For those who are in illusion, the material world somewhat increases their illusion. Oh, somebody who is in the illusion of the maya of being wealthy, influential, etc., their karma phala itself will be such that they will be able to use their influence to overcome problems. That is the nature of their karma phala. Because they have come to that position, their karma phala protects them in that position. So now what this makes them think is that, see, because of my position, I am able to protect myself. But actually, it's not because of their position in this life. It's because of the karma they have done in their previous life. Their this life is such that somewhat they are being protected from all dangers. Uh, But they will get into illusion saying that, see, if somebody is powerful, if somebody is influential, if somebody is, even if somebody has taken a wrong path, but if somebody has reached these kind of positions, see, we can protect ourselves. So now it fueled their maya, their illusion, that they can do nonsense and get away with it. And then they do that, and what happens? Then they get the karma for that, which is suffering. So they're going to suffer in their next life. So this is material life, it's one after the other, it's the same thing. You're just going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. We keep changing our positions, that's all. Our stance. We keep changing our stance, our approach towards life, thought process. Everything just keeps changing, but the situations are the same. The same situations. Our position, our stance is changing. Our philosophy towards life changes. Sometimes we are under influence of goodness, and our philosophy seems to be more in line of a mode of goodness. Sometimes we are in mode of passion, sometimes we are in mode of ignorance, but the situations are same. Situations are not different. Hmm. So everybody is under the control of material nature. Bali Maharaj therefore was very sensible. He knew that the fighting was arranged by eternal time. See, this is the difference. He was very sensible. But Indra is speaking senselessly. Right? He's just simply reacting to Bali Maharaj's acts on the battlefield. I mean, Bali Maharaj is doing his duty. Why does Indra have to use words like Mudha and all that? So he is like not in his senses, right? But Bali Maharaj was in his senses and he's speaking very sensibly. He knew that the fighting was arranged by eternal time and that under time's influence, one must accept the results of one's own activities. So he knew that the result of this fight is already predetermined. So he's not worried. He's not worried about the outcome. So he's not very emotionally entangled. So Indra seems to be like emotionally entangled, meaning he's expressing his anger, frustration, but Pali is just sober and peaceful. Right? He's just saying we're going to experience the results of our karma. Why get too excited about it? Therefore, even though Indra threatened that he would now kill Bali Maharaj by releasing thunderbolt, Bali Maharaj was not at all afraid. See, this we have to understand. This is such an exalted position. Mm. Which is why Bali Maharaj, even though externally he seemed like uh, a demon, subsequently also, actually, when Prahlad Maharaj also appears, and then Prahlad Maharaj says, see, he was very too much materially attached. He was not like an outright karmi. He was a devotee, somehow entangled in some aspect of material life. And the Lord gave mercy to him by taking away everything, so that that leftover last as part of illusion also goes. He's exalted devotee. I mean, it's not how we respond to in good situations. It's how we respond to in bad situations, difficult situations that determines our caliber, uh, our position in devotion. In good situations, everybody might be good. Mm. Which is why, and that we can deal with all situations in with the proper mindset only if we are always in Krishna consciousness. And this word Krishna consciousness itself says that we have to be conscious of Krishna all the time. Meaning what? We have to be conscious of Krishna's position. We should be conscious about our position, our conditioned state, our karma phala, all these kinds of things, and Krishna's supreme position, His mercy. uh. So if we act in complete awareness of the philosophy of life, which is what Bali Maharaj is doing, then we will never end up doing mistakes. If you are emotionally entangled, then we end up doing mistakes. We should not be emotionally entangled. And even as devotees, even with respect to, sometimes we get emotionally entangled with how others are doing bad. That also we should not be emotionally entangled. We should just understand, okay, they're doing something bad, I should not do it. That's all. No disrespect towards them. At the same time, uh, we can, if there is something, some process, some authority to whom we can take something for correction, we can do. Otherwise, just ignore. And make sure that you don't do it. That's all. You don't have to take it to heart and become sentimental and all that. This is the spirit of a Kshatriya. Yuddhe chapya palayanam. A Kshatriya must be tolerant in all circumstances, especially on the battlefield. Thus, Bali Maharaj asserted that he was not at all afraid of death, although he was threatened by such a great personality as the king of heaven. So, Bali Maharaj was also perfectly doing his duty, prescribed duty. On top of that, he was um, a great devotee. Those qualities are also coming out. So amazing personality. Hmm. Tadidam kala rasanam jagat pashyanti surayah na hrisyanti na sochanti tatrayuyam panditaah. Seeing the moments of time, those who are cognizant of the real truth, see, neither rejoice nor lament for different circumstances. Therefore, because you are jubilant due to your victory, you should be considered not very learned. Exactly what we are discussing. So Bali Maharaj is telling Indra, saying that, see, we should understand moment of time. There's destiny, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. So when the destiny is manifesting in front of us, Bali Maharaj is saying one should not rejoice or lament, which means that some material situation happens. Don't have to become too, you know, caught up in that, either rejoicing or lamenting. And he's telling, because you seem to be jubilant, uh, and you are when you because you're jubilant, you're talking in a mood of arrogance. Uh, it looks like you're not very learned. Simple, straightforward conclusion. Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj knew that Indra was extremely powerful, certainly more powerful than he himself. Nonetheless, Bali Maharaj challenged Indra by saying that Indra was not a very learned person. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna rebuked Arjuna by saying, Asochan anvasocastum pragnavadamscha basase. Gatasu nagatasumscha nanusochanti panditaha. While speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. Thus, as Krishna challenged Arjuna by saying that he was not a Pandita, Bali Maharaj also challenged King Indra and his associates. In this material world, everything happens under the influence of time. Consequently, for a learned person who sees how things are taking place, there is no question of being sorry or happy because of the waves of material nature. After all, since we are being carried away by these waves, what is the meaning of being jubilant or morose? It seems like a very easy philosophy. Whatever is happening is as per our karma phala, so we are being carried by the waves of our karma, so to speak. So sometimes it will be comfortable, sometimes it will be a bumpy ride. Why be jubilant or lament? It's just karma, that's all. One who is fully conversant with the laws of nature is never jubilant or morose because of nature's activities. In Bhagavad Gita 2.14, Krishna advises that one be tolerant. Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. Following this advice of Krishna's, one should not be morose or unhappy because of circumstantial changes. This is the symptom of a devotee. We should not be affected by material situations. It doesn't mean that we stop being emotional, sentimental. No, we should have emotions because bhakti means bhava. Hmm. Uh, so that bhava has to be there, but that bhava should not be on the material platform. Sometimes we get confused. We are on the material platform, but we think we are on the spiritual platform. Hmm. For example, now ISKCON does lot of mundane welfare activities. That's not on the platform of the soul. And Prabhupada never wanted us to do all this nonsense. Mm. But people do because they're confused. They're saying, okay, we are showing compassion to people by giving food for life. Now, food for life is a concept where you give prasadam to people in an environment to make them devotees. So, for example, repeatedly you are giving prasadam to some people. Those people, by eating prasadam, will become devotees, and then you should be able to convert them to devotees, bring them to temple center, etc. But not that we say, okay, now I'm going to go and give prasadam to all schools. Now, what is the environment in which you are going to create devotees? You are possibly also not going to say that it is prasadam. You are going to say maybe that it is sattvic food, which means that all chances of actually promoting devotion is gone. Prabhupada did not want this. If you're giving, tell them it's prasadam, don't waste it. Honor it with respect. It's the mercy of Krishna. If possible, put Prabhupada Dun, do some kirtan. If there is no practical feasibility to do kirtan, put Prabhupada's kirtan on a loudspeaker and let them honor prasadam in a devotional environment. Uh, but not like, so there is a thin line between when an activity becomes mundane versus keeping it spiritual. That's very, very important. So like Bali Maharaj is same situation, he's dealing with it spiritually, but Indra is dealing with it materially. Mhm. So it's very, very important that devotees actually, we have to get trained to think this way. Mm. Um, a devotee carries out his duty in Krishna consciousness and is never unhappy in awkward circumstances. Material world, sometimes we are put into awkward situations. Can't help it. He has full faith that in such circumstances, Krishna protects his devotees. So this is very, very important. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna or Rakshishyati iti Vishwaso. Having faith that Krishna is going to protect. However nasty the situation might look. Just having full faith. Uh, Actually, last year I remember, now that we are 1 year, um, our second Jagannath Rath Yatra is coming up. So in Ulimau we are going to be celebrating on July 24th. Um, and I remember last year all arrangements were made. We struggled to get permission, and we had fixed one date, and because we had not got the permission by then, we had to postpone. So awkward situation, right? Because we had promoted, we had told people, then again we had to reprint pamphlets and change the date, communicate to people. Very, very awkward situation. But Krishna's mercy that uh, it was amazing. The Rath Yatra was amazing, and on the initially scheduled date also, there were not many people who. Some people called, and we told them saying that due to circumstances we pushed it to the next weekend. It was okay. It looks like it didn't create any bad experience for anybody. And the Rath Yatra, then subsequent Rath Yatra was amazing. So many people joined. Almost 7,000, 8,000 Dona Prasadam was distributed. So, awkward situation, but Krishna will protect. Krishna will protect. So, we should have full faith. So, again, I keep repeating this. It's all about faith. There is no qualification. There is no theoretical qualification. There is no like, okay, if somebody has read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion 5 times, then they are this. No. Somebody might not have read anything, but I might have, very strong fixed faith in Krishna. He's a more qualified devotee. So devotion is not gauged by our knowledge. Devotion is gauged by our surrender. So devotee who surrendered, even if he might be very, whatever, not so accomplished from whatever, he might not be well read, he might not be this, he might not be that, but he has full faith in Krishna. He is an amazing devotee. Therefore, a devotee never deviates from his prescribed duty of devotional service. So Prabhupada is not writing, therefore a devotee never deviates from prescribed duty. No. He says he never deviates from prescribed duty of devotional service. Sometimes material prescribed duty we might deviate for the sake of bhakti, right? Like in the Yatra, you will not have leave. It's a Friday, you have office, then you will tell lie. Saying that I am unwell or something, right? So we are not too concerned about material prescribed duty. Now, of course, when it comes to dealing with devotees at home, that prescribed duty becomes spiritual. This is also something devotees get confused sometimes. When you're dealing with devotees at home, then it doesn't remain a material duty anymore. It becomes a spiritual duty. And what is a spiritual duty? Just like you care for and serve other Vaishnavas, you take care and serve other Vaishnavas at home. But when it is non-devotional, for example, work taking one day off at work is non-devotional, as in it's purely material activity, and you can just say you can lie for the sake of Krishna. But also, my Guru Maharaj specifically says, don't get into this habit of lying. But it's okay once in a while, because when you get into a habit of lying for spiritual, then you'll start lying for material also. Fallen tendencies of our. So we have to be careful. But not that, we have to be very, very, like truthful and say, please, you give me leave, I have this. Boss will say, no, we have an important meeting today. For him, how does he care? Whether you have Rath Yatra, whether you have this or that or whatever, for him, it's all the same. So we can go against our prescribed duty there. The material qualities of jubilation and moroseness are present even in the demigods, who are very highly situated in the upper planetary system, now, which is why they are Mishra Bhaktas. Shuddha Bhakta will not have jubilant, will not be jubilant or remorse in material situations. And we have to understand, eventually there is one awkward material situation that all of us will face in life, isn't it? What situation is that? Death. Death is going to be that awkward situation that all of us have to face. And it's going to be the first time this life. You've not died before in this life. So it's tough. It might seem tough. So for which we have to practice on small, awkward situations. Don't get too worked up. Ignore as much as not, don't get affected mentally by material situations. Or even, like I said, sometimes even spiritual situations. Sometimes we have to just see what is there, what learning is there for me in the situation, and then learn whatever is required and move on. Because then if we take it to heart, in the sense of getting affected by it, then we might not be able to, we might become inactive, we might not be able to do the right things. Therefore, when one is undisturbed by the so-called favorable and unfavorable circumstances of this material world, It should be understood to be Brahma Bhuta, self-realized. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kangshati. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. And this being joyful is a characteristic of Brahma Bhuta platform. Now, being joyful um, doesn't mean taking bhakti casually. Being joyful actually means not being affected by adverse material conditions. That is what it means. Na sochati na kangshati. Not affected. Not desiring material, anything material. This is, and being joyful with whatever is there. But doesn't mean that, we give up our intensity of bhakti, or, our sober nature, or no, not like that. Those things are also required. But this jolly nature is not getting affected by material things. That's the jolly nature. When one is undisturbed by material circumstances, he should be understood to be on the transcendental stage, above the reactions of the three modes of material nature. So when one is undisturbed, so the qualification or the criteria to figure out if one has come to Brahmabhuta stage is that we are not affected by our material situations. To the extent we are affected by material situations, to that extent we are bound. We are materially bound. And to the extent we are free from being affected, to that extent we are liberated. And of course, there's another definition of liberation, which is to uh, be situated in full-time devotional service. If somebody is situated in full-time devotional service, even if they are still affected by material things also, still they are considered liberated. Because they've actually crossed that karma bondage. Now, there might be some residual karma, right, which they are going through. That's all. Because if one who is bound in by karma, they will not be able to release themselves immediately from the bondage of karma. So that's also another criteria. Mm. So which is why, we have to be very careful when we are dealing with full-time devotees, brahmacharis, sannyasis. They might not demonstrate the highest level of behavior as we might expect, but we should not disrespect them because they've crossed that. In fact, but this is just some residual stuff that is there in them, which will go off in period of time, in course of time. But we might be materially well qualified, materially, disciplined or cultured and all that, but we are not reached that level of surrender, then we don't have any right to comment on them. And they're so far superior than us in terms of their surrender to Krishna. Please understand that uh, engaging in full-time service requires surrender. You might think, some brahmacharis, what is there? They just joined ashram. Easy, no work, nothing. No, not about no work. It's about their level of surrender, level of faith in Krishna, their dependence on Krishna. That will actually give them the strength to say, okay, I will accept this acharya ashram. It's very exalted, very exalted. Mm. Mm. So we should respect such devotees. Don't not consider them inferior because we are materially well qualified, more qualified. Anyway, very amazing, amazing purport. So these actually this full sequence, this full episode is full of teachings. It's full of teachings. So many things we will be discussing. Okay, so I'll close here. If anybody has any questions, can feel free to say. Any questions, anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Use this. Yeah.
Prabhuji, like Bali Maharaj is asura, like supporting the demons, but Supreme Personality is at the side of demigods. So, but still he is like in the side of demons, Prabhu. Why?
Yeah, because Bali Maharaj specifically, who are those devotees who take different roles in Krishna's pastimes, have some special reason why they are born where they are born. For example, so many devotees today in ISKCON are born in foreign countries, in Malaysia, Yavana families. That is Lord's desire that they be born there and spread Krishna consciousness through those families in those areas, etc. Now, but that is one answer. The other answer is bhakti is independent. Bhakti has no dependence on our pious nature or our good nature or whether we are a demon or demigod. Bhakti is independent. So bhakti can appear in the heart of or can awaken in the heart of any person, irrespective whether he's a demon or um, demigod. Mm. And so they can appear anywhere. They can appear in the house of demons like Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj. But we should not look at them as as demons. We should not call them as demons. Materialists will call them demons. We should tell them. We should tell they are in the dress of demons. For whatever reason. That's prerogative of Supreme Lord. He knows why, what, etc. So he will. Yeah. So nothing surprising. Especially in Kali Yuga, there are so many Bali Maharaj and Hiranyakashipus, right? But still they are in devotion. So many people, right, who are really not materially, they might just be totally unqualified, but they are so qualified because they have taken up to devotional service, they're chanting Krishna's name. And if they do it offenselessly, in course of time, they will become demigods. They will become highly qualified jivas. So we should not look at the material. That's why it said, Shastra says it's an offense to see the past of a devotee. You should never go and ask, what were you before? Mm. And if suppose by chance that person had a bad past, it doesn't mean that we become disrespectful of that Vaishnava. So it's better we don't ask at all. Because we might not be matured enough to discriminate, right? And we might say something which might be offensive. We should not go into the past. Okay. Anything else?
Okay.
Okay. So here we have Paripurna Mataji asking a question here in. So I'll speak out her question as she asks. Surrender. You mentioned surrender. Yeah. We tend to do devotional service in a very mechanical way. From morning till night, finish this, finish this. It's like a checklist for me. Okay. Finish this service, finish this service. How to really bring in surrender in practically in my daily life activities? Okay. So Mataji's question is that she's saying she's mechanical in her devotional activities right now, and she's asking how to bring in surrender into the nature in the way that she's doing her devotion today. Okay, so two things. Now, what surrender actually means? There are two things. One is being non-mechanical in our service, and the other thing is to be surrendered. Now, both of them may or may not be directly connected in the sense that somebody might be doing some service, whatever service they are doing with their heart, but they might not be fully surrendered to Krishna. Okay. And there might be another person who's fully surrendered to Krishna, but is not trained to do things properly. Mm. Mm. No, so these two are not necessarily connected, but yes, for pure devotees, both of these are connected. But it's not necessary for other people. So, see, one thing about surrender just requires us to have full faith in Krishna. And surrender means that surrender is a framework for living. Not so much, it doesn't have a direct bearing on how we do devotional service. Surrender says how to deal with this world and how we can be completely dependent on Krishna. So, what is Saranagati? Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. And do acts which are engage in actions which are favorable to Krishna consciousness. Give up actions which are not favorable. Rakshishati iti vishvaso. That is the third aspect. Have faith that Krishna will protect. Goptritve varnam tata. Have faith that Krishna is the maintainer, not me. And Atmanikshepa. Offer yourself at the lotus feet of Krishna, meaning become his servant. Then Karpanya, humility. Now, these are aspects of Sharanagati. Now, now, other thing about being mechanical. That being mechanical will go away when we become a little bit more conscious about whom we are doing activities for. Number one. Number two, we should also not load our day in such a way that we become like a machine. Hmm? Sometimes it's also good if you keep some space, time for, like for example, hmm, if somebody keeps saying that, okay, I have only 1 hour 50 minutes for japa. Okay. Now, which means if it becomes 1 hour 51 minutes, I'm gone. Right now, what happens with this is that the mood of devotion will be overtaken by pressure of time. I used to do this before a lot, and over a period of time, I realized this. So previously, my day was a fixed schedule. Like this time to this time, this time to this time, and there was no gap. There's no time space for chill, time pass, nothing, right? It was like jam packed, packed up completely, day, morning till night. Now, what I've done, I know what I want to do, accomplish in the day, but I'm not putting fixed times because it gives me some scope for absorption in some activity. If suppose, say, one day I want to do a little bit more reading, I will do more reading. Right? Maybe what will happen is that day one activity I might commit less time than what I normally do, which I'll make up the next day possible. Right? So I give myself a little bit flexibility to let me be driven by little bit emotion and feelings and what I want to do and those kind of things, which are callings of the heart, than being purely running like a machine. So time pressure normally spoils everything, so you should not never pack yourself to such an extent that you are under time pressure. See, for example, previously before we started Manglarti here, my class used to get over at 9:20, then my prasadam at 9:30, then you go to washroom at 9:45, then 10:15 to 10:30 I sit for my work in the day. Now I don't get there. And sometimes I almost becomes like 11 o'clock till I go and start my work um, for the day. So what happens? So it previously I used to get agitated by this. So now I said, see, this is the new schedule. The new schedule is now my time moved from 10:30 to 11, and it's okay if I have 15 minutes more. I go in someday early, then I get 15 minutes bonus. That's all, right? So important thing is to be conscious in the service we are doing. This is the most important thing. That is why mechanical devotion is okay to some extent till it brings us to this question. If it doesn't bring us to this question, then that mechanical devotion also, yeah, it becomes like a very slow process. But when we come to this question, saying that, no, but why am I not getting absorbed? Why am I not able to put my heart into what I'm doing? Then you're asking real questions. See, in lives of devotees, life, what we should do is we should keep upgrading our devotion. Right? We should know where we are. We should know what is the higher stage. Sometimes we hear of the higher stage, but that higher stage may not be immediately possible. But we should understand, saying that I need to get there. If I'm not able to figure out how to get there myself, then I go to authorities, maybe my guru, and ask, saying that, what should I do to move from here to there? And take their guidance and then move on. So it's good. It's always important to be introspective and keep questioning our devotion. Am I doing right? Am I going the right direction? Am I going at the right speed? Am I too slow? Am I too fast? Do I have the right mood? What is the next stage? What should I do? So these questions should always be there. And sometimes these questions get answered. Most of the time, they get answered by reading Prabhupada's books. If they don't get answered, then there are more senior devotees than us whom we can go and ask for clarification. And it's good. It's good to be thinking that way. Okay. Anything else?
One more question.
Yeah.
What
1 second, Samudra Manthan. Yeah.
we say is to the Supreme Lord, then he should be to our left.
Yeah.
Then from Guru is straight, And I heard that Prabhupada, when he was invited to a Kali temple in Kolkata, he offered his obeisances to his life.
Yeah.
So here, what I see is if we have to offer to our left, our legs will face Prabhupada.
No, legs will not directly face Prabhupada.
Darshanarthi, before Darshanarthi, afterwards, because I see.
No, left only. You have to do left. See, when you're talking about legs towards Prabhupada, it should not be directly in line with Prabhupada. Like if Prabhupada is here, then you don't offer obeisance right opposite to him with your legs facing. Even that side is see, they will also understand, no, there's only so much space, right? See, it's a mood also, right? Sometimes ignorantly devotees offer obeisance right there. Then we say, okay, don't offer right in front of Prabhupada with your leg towards him. Slightly, turn your leg that side or this side. So consciousness is that, we have to do that. And sometimes offering straight is not possible to Guru. Then left is also okay, right? Left or straight is acceptable because either we are giving our heart to Guru or we are offering respect to Guru. Both of them are okay. To Vishnu Tattva and to our altars, always with our left heart to on the left side and to demigods on the right side. This is the norm. So it has to be followed. Yeah, Sumant.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, yes, I mean, like
Yeah.
you're saying, we should,
Not.
but many a times, more than many a times, Prabhu, the devotional, we drag us. I mean, I'm talking about myself. The mood is, we get into a sloppier mood than pulling us up, But it's more than often this happens, Prabhu. Even though you want to push yourself, whether it, sometimes, your bodily or your mentally or physically, something. But it's easy. It's very easy taking the downwards route, and many a times this happens. How do you deal with this problem? It's very difficult to
Yeah.
to stay stable, to come up. Every time you keep saying, "Upar chado, dekho, karo," this climb is very steep, Prabhu, and even to maintain yourself at a level becomes difficult, leave alone climbing up. How do you deal?
Uh,
How do you deal with it?
so one of the things that comes to my mind is a very strict sadhana process. Yesterday I was thinking sadhana process, right? Like morning program. Um, See, actually, I see few devotees who at least come to center here in Ulimau now because now that we have started our morning program, now most of their sadhana has got fixed. Now when that happens, your consciousness automatically raises. Somebody was saying that Prabhu, just because of my chanting now suddenly looks like a different world because they were doing very sloppy chanting. Right, and when you're doing very, very, absorbing Mangalarti, and then Guru Puja, chanting, association of devotees, normally it works. Normally it works. It pulls you out from whatever sloppiness. And of course, some ups and downs are always there because we are in Anartha Nivruti. Till we go to Nishta, we will have ups and downs. But there will be more ups than downs. As we. To me, the answer is morning program. That's the answer to me. The more pakka the morning program is, the more fixed we become.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhu, that is right. But it's many more than often, even the morning program is like a mechanical. Okay, iske baad ye karna, iske baad ye karna.
No.
That. I mean, it's so mechanical, Prabhu. Like, I think so.
Yeah, it's mechanical if you let yourself engage in that mechanically. So that is a little pushing we have to do ourselves, and hopefully devotee association can help. When we see, at least like I keep seeing, I mean, every day I see devotees so amazingly, like, putting so much of effort in their chanting and, also to me in devotion compared to number of years I've been in devotion, they're all like so young. And when I see that, that really that effort that they're putting to chant nicely, because for them these instructions are so new and so important and they're so trying so sincerely. And I feel saying that, if at all we can also get the same enthusiasm, then we can really make progress. So we can get positively influenced by devotees around us. I mean, at least I'm speaking from my experience, that sometimes, I might not have the same level of energy, but when I see somebody else having so much energy, and then I feel like, oh, okay, no, it's not. No, I'll also pull up myself, right? Wherever down I've gone, I'll pull myself up. So it's possible. See, if it was not possible, then we wouldn't have seen so many great devotees coming out of this movement, right? So it's possible. It's just we have to assess our own position, situations, and see what can help pull us up. Yeah, can't say more than that.
Yeah, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam to everybody.
Okay, so we'll close. There are no further questions. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Samveta Gaura Bhakta ki jai. Hare Krishna.